Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to stand for the playing of Jamaica's national anthem. You may be seated. Mrs. Tricia Williams Singh, Chairman of the Early Childhood Commission. Executive Director of the Early Childhood Commission, Mrs. Carlene DeGrasse Deslandes. Ms. Olga Isaza, UNICEF Jamaica Representative. Mrs. Latoya Akar Foster, Project Manager, Culture, Health, Arts, Sports, and Education Fund. Mr. Leo Gilling, Chairman, Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network. Ms. Ella Humphrey, Education Specialist in the Global Knowledge and Innovation Unit of the World Bank's Education Global Practice and or keynote speaker. ECC team members, specially invited guests, presenters, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the fourth staging of the Early Childhood Commission's Professional Development Institute. And this is 2023. Let's make some noise. The inaugural staging was in 2019. And of course, we know the thing will come and pop it down in 2020. So we just pause for a while, and then we just use that year to decide, all right, stop it from Keep Development Institute, Professional Institute. So 2021, we went fully online. 2022, we went online and a little face-to-face. Look at Toops. But this time, we're going hybrid, and it's really nice to see. I feel like when they done a Montego Bay. When we did a Montego Bay and see the whole round in the convention center, that's how it feels. It's so exciting to see you here today. This year's PDI is a collaboration with the Culture, Health, Arts, Sports, and Education Fund, Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, and UNICEF, and will be a hybrid staging this year from May 22 to 26. I am Leighton Jones, your resident Master of Ceremonies. But of course, I won't be the only one sharing with you this year. I'm going to be inviting to share stage with me Mrs. Stacyan Campbell Cargill. She's one of your own. She look nice, don't it? And you know the things, so we did plan it out and work out, so we're going to put in a little pink and thing together. And but that's so we coordinate. When the mind's working together, we just work it out quite nicely. Mrs. Campbell Cargill, how are you?
Good,
You feel good?
Feel great.
I want to make you feel great.
I'm at PDI 2023.
I know you're taught the
That's
things.
right.
No, you're taught the things. Last year, I met you last year when you were a moderator right here at the PDI. But last year also was your first year on staff with the ECC. So that must have been a little shaky for you. You were a little nervous. But how was the experience?
Let me tell you something. Yes, it was nervous. But guess what? Nerve-wracking, I must say. PDI 2022 was a bombastic year. Although we were online, we were pressing forward. And look here, although I was a moderator, I have gained so much knowledge that not only am I keeping it for myself, family, friends, principals, and practitioners that are underneath my wings, and so the wings and big.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, man. I have been imparting the knowledge. And guess what? When you impart the knowledge, what do you think is going to happen? Our future leaders of tomorrow will be great. And they will be great, all right?
Awesome.
So I would have garnered a lot of knowledge from last year PDI.
So it's really, really good to have you sharing with us this year in this capacity. So probably next year I will step aside.
No,
and
not
you can
at all. We work
things.
together very well.
All right, no problem.
It is my pleasure to welcome you. I hope you'll participate in all 78 workshop sessions. How many did I say? 78. I didn't hear you, man. 78 over the next 4 days of PDI. The program is organized according to tracks or themes.
Track 1, parenting.
Track 2, early learning and care.
Track 3, inclusion.
Track 4, STEAM, science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Track 5, IRI homes and IRI classroom.
Track 6, arts.
No, that one there, my one.
Oh, sorry.
Track 7, leadership advocacy.
Track 8, ECD chairman management course.
All right. I something like when people excited about the track, them, you know. Yeah, man. Wonderful. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be having the opening remarks, and we're going to be inviting the effervescent chairman, Mrs. Trisha Williams-Singh, to do the honors.
Chair. Thank you.
Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Leighton Jones, and of course, Mrs. Stacey and Campbell Cargill. I must say that little trip that I just had, that's what happened when you're too excited. And also, hold on, bear with me a second. When I saw the turnout, I shouldn't be surprised, you know, because this is actually the most committed sector within education in Jamaica. Executive Director of the Early Childhood Commission, Mrs. Carleen Deslandes, our keynote speaker, Miss Ella Humphrey, Chairman of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, Mr. Leo Gillins. I know you are online because I am online and I see that you are online. Other members of JDN and the Diaspora, Project Officer, or Manager, Miss Latoya Akar Foster, Representative of UNICEF Jamaica, Miss Olga Zaza. Thank you so much for coming. I also see Rebecca here, a champion for UNICEF. Other members of UNICEF Jamaica. I'm also seeing the lovely logo of NCB, so I know important NCBs here as well. I have to acknowledge you. Other partners, Team ECC, my parents, practitioners, participants from across the world, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning. The Early Childhood Commission has regulated and monitored the early childhood sector for 2 decades. We have set a precedent that the children of Jamaica deserve nothing but a healthy, safe, and nurturing environment. As we embark on our 4th annual Professional Development Institute, under the theme, Transforming Education Through a resilient educator. Transforming education through a resilient educator. Let us keep the objectives for this week at the forefront of our minds. We are here to promote resilience through a change in mindset, through critical and self-reflective practice, through an appreciation of the lessons in sustainability from climate change, and through an appreciation of the importance of violence prevention. My bragging rights. I commend the team, members of the Commission, for continually raising the bar in the sector. You have carried the mantle with pride and passion. You have. The mindset you have adopted have been a global one, and so I encourage you all to ensure we build citizens of Jamaica who can compete in the global market for positions and jobs that are yet to be defined. Educators, my early childhood educators, you are the real heroes within the early childhood sector. Since without a stable foundation for children, then further development is compromised. I say this all the time. If the foundation is not strong, there's no primary. There's no secondary. There's no going to higher learning. If the foundation is not strong. As we continue our journey beyond these 20 years, it is critical that we continue to strengthen and maintain collaboration with the homes and the community. It is critical that we review and adjust the teaching strategies to meet the needs of all learners in inclusive environments. I need us to remember that word, inclusive environment. It is critical that we educate all parents about the first 1,000 days of a child's life. It is critical that we remain resilient. Thank you and welcome.
Inclusion. What did Mrs. Singh said? Inclusion. If there's no early child, there's no what? There's no what? No primary. There's no what?
Secondary.
There's no what? We are the foundation. We are the foundation builders. That's right. I just want to thank Mrs. William Singh for reiterating what is necessary for us to remember we are the foundation. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, PDI wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. I would like to say a big thank you to our main sponsors, the culture, health, arts, sports, and education. And what is that?
Chase.
What is that?
Chase.
There you go. The Jamaica Diaspora, Task Force, Action Network, and UNICEF Jamaica. Thanks to all our attendees for recognizing the importance of early childhood education.
Please, at this time, help me to welcome the project manager of the Culture, Health, Arts, Sports, and Education Fund, Mrs. Latoya Akar Foster, who will bring us greetings.
going to try and not be too intimidated by this huge audience. Masters of Ceremonies, forgive me, I didn't get the names, but you're doing an amazing job so far. Chairman of the Board of the Early Childhood Commission, Mrs. Trisha Williams-Singh. Executive Director of the Early Childhood Commission, Mrs. Caroline Deslandes. Representatives of the Ministry of Education and Youth. Representatives of UNICEF. Distinguished practitioners, parents, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I feel privileged to represent Chase at this opening session of the ECC's annual Professional Development Institute, PDI 2023, which is being hosted under the theme, Transforming Education Through the Resilient Educator. By the numbers in this room, this is proof of the resilience of this sector. Our CEO, Mr. Billy Heaven, would have wanted to be here this morning. Unfortunately, he was called to an urgent and important meeting he could not get out of, and so I'm representing him in his absence, but he sends his congratulations on another staging of this very, very important conference. Transforming education through the resilient educator is an appropriate topic. How does an educator survive and thrive in their profession amidst environmental factors affecting the children that they teach, resource challenges, which we all are aware of, we face it every day, and other environmental disruptors? I'm not going to create any controversies by naming some, but we have quite a bit of challenges that we have to mount. How do you remain resilient? Resilient teachers are those that are prepared to forge ahead with the support of the PTA, the social workers, policymakers, parents, and of course, the ECC. It is good to note that all these stakeholders are part of this 2023 PDI. We all have a responsibility for the development and implementation of relevant and effective strategies. These strategies are done at the level of the ECC, they're done at the level of the ministry, they're done at the level of individual institutions, and they're also done by you, individual practitioners, in your own classroom. Sometimes you have to even go down further and do strategies for a particular child. It's something that is done at every level. It is very important. This is why PDI is crucial and will hopefully contribute to a paradigm shift in our approach to the further development and resiliency of the sector by focusing on the resiliency of the practitioners. That is the key of it all. The overall development of the early childhood sector has been a stated policy of Chase Fund since inception. This year we celebrate 20 years. If I'm not mistaken, the ECCs are around the same age. Yes? So this has been a partnership from day one. We contribute to this sector through many ways, mostly building basic and infant schools and departments. We do a lot of training. Well, we don't train, but we provide funding for practitioners to access training. Some of you may have benefited from Chase scholarships in your studies. And we also do a lot of equipping of infant schools and departments. To date, Chase has spent over $6 billion on this sector. Outside of sports, the early childhood education sector gets the largest cut of Chase's budget. And a lot of people will say, okay, E is for education. No, at Chase, E is for early childhood education. However, we have not been doing this in isolation. The achievement of the national development goals that we seek to assist with depends on partnerships with a broad range of stakeholders. With respect to early childhood education, the Early Childhood Commission is the most critical stakeholder. And so, on behalf of the Chase Board of Directors, Management, and Staff, I congratulate the ECC on its work, hard work, underground work to improve the sector. The Commission has accomplished much for the sector, and we at the Fund look forward to continuing to work with you to further develop this very, very important sector. I wish all participants a productive and enlightening PDI. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Latoya Akar Foster, Project Manager at Chase Funds. Now, I made some jottings here. How many monies are money, right? How many? How much? Billions. And who? No, I didn't even say too much confidence. And who? And the E in Chase means? So wherever you go, we're going to say the culture, health, art, sports, and talk truth. And going good. Lovely. Now, at this time, I am going to invite the chairman of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, Mr. Leo Gillins. You may not see him up here personally, get right? But guess what? We're talking about hybrid, right? So you'll see him online. So, Mr. Gillins, it's your time.
Trisha, me there for true. All right? Thank you so much for having me. It's just a pleasure being here today. This is our third stint and partnership with the ECC. And I want to ask you permission to use the term all protocols observed at this time, except with recognizing Mrs. Trisha Williams-Singh. She's one of those kind of energy bunny that you love being next to. Mrs. Deslandis, Carlene Deslandis, oh my gosh, one of the more organized persons that you have worked with over the years. And Nicole Morgan, and that faithful and capable staff of the Early Childhood Commission that we've worked with over the past few years. I'm telling you, it's been a wonder. It's been great to work with this organization. So this is our third stint. But however, we have not been just 3 years coming. We started with teachers in terms of building resilience, building capacity with teachers back in 2013, where we invited the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, invited teachers to California, to University of Loma Linda, to learn how to use devices. We trained about 400 teachers over a 6-year period in California and in Jamaica. And then when this pandemic hit in 2020, we had to switch to technology to both learn and teach through technology. And that's when we met this awesome group of individuals. We have partnered, the entire 2021 PDI was online. And within 4 or 5 days, we had like 250,000 people viewing the PDI. And it was amazing. And numbers didn't change that much in 2022. And so I'm happy to see the growth of the face-to-face, because there's nothing better than having each other to talk to face-to-face. I really wanted to be there, but I couldn't. But I'm happy to be here today. I bring you greetings from all the members of the Jamaica Diaspora, all the educators and the people in education from all the regions. Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network is made up of 2,500 hard-working, registrants, people who have registered with the organization and are doing work in helping build resilience, build capacity. Our next effort coming up is immediately after this, on June 13th through 16th. We'll host 100 teachers from Jamaica. And it's from all sectors, from early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary. And we're happy to have them in Florida for 3 days of seminars, tours, and helping to create a different type of knowledge that they can bring back and share with their colleagues in Jamaica. It's really been, we want you to be a part of this. And so next year in 2024, I am announcing something that we would not normally do, but in 2024, we are bringing this particular conference, 3-4 days, to Jamaica so that you all can be a part of this also. And so with that, I want to say to you, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity for being here. Our partnership will continue for as long as I am alive. Thank you.
Mr. Gilling, that's what we like to hear. When you build good relationships, you must sustain them. So welcome to the family, Mr. Gilling. On behalf of the ECC, I'm now a member of the family, you know. So I'm welcoming you to the family, and we want you to stay with us. And that's what we like. When you come at ECC, so the things they never want to talk, you have to talk. So you know, tell us already the things that you're planning for next year, and we are planning to work with you, right, Miss? Right. Long time. As you mentioned it, Miss D, write it down. She writes it down right there. She writing. So thank you so much, Mr. Gilling. It's our pleasure to have you sharing with us, and we continue the collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Gilling from the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network for the collaboration with the Early Childhood Commission. We really appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to break the greetings and we're going to be fed by our children. Now we know we learn very great lessons from them, if we spend the time to pay attention. They teach us some wonderful gems. Sometimes we shame, but it's also good, also very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this group of youngsters, they are the national award-winning dance group coming out of the Halfway Tree Primary School. And I want to say it again. I said national. So let me explain to you what national means. They're in the parish of Kingston and St. Andrew. They go to zone finals in their little zone. They come out on top. You move from zone to parish finals where they meet with the other zones. And they go to the little theater and they compete against all the other schools in Kingston and St. Andrew. Now that's where they get gold, silver, and bronze. They get gold. Now, getting a gold doesn't mean you go to the national. You have to get the highest score in the class and category. So 7 gold medals could be in that category, but in order to go to the national, you have to get the highest. See the dance specialist right there. I mean, if I even didn't know, saying that there has me talking about it to bear me witness, so I'm learning. So they went to the national finals already receiving the highest gold medal. You can go to the national finals and don't get an award. Why? Because the standard set very high. They mark out of 50. In order to get an award at the national finals, you must have amassed a score of above 40 in order to get the national award. And so when I say national award winning, I want to know the work with them put on. Put your hands together for the Halfway Tree Primary School national award winners with their dance entitled Everybody Clean Up. Keep clapping them as they come. Keep clapping them as they come.
Okay, children, it's time to clean up. Let's sing.
Bits of paper, lying on the ground, lying on the ground. It makes the place untidy, it makes the place tidy. Pick them up, pick them up. Boring! What's some remix?
My day one rule is keeping my cool, even if I'm broken iron. If you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta wait. That's why you gotta never let them see you down, see you down. Oh, oh, yeah. Gotta smile while you're hurting and whistle while you're working. While you're working, if you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta whistle while you're working. That's why you gotta never let them see you down, see you down. Oh, oh, yeah. Gotta smile while you're hurting and whistle while you're working. And whistle while you're working. Gotta smile while you're hurting. Just whistle while you're working. Brush it off. I will never let this shit weigh me down, weigh me down. Don't cry, dry your eyes, keep your chin up and leave it all behind, all behind. Got lost in my head, and my brother said, take a breath, don't you worry, child. 'Cause you know where I'm from, so keep moving and go through on a Chelsea smile. My day one rule is cool, even if I'm broken iron. If you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta whistle while you're working. That's why you gotta never let them see you down, see you down. Oh, oh, yeah. Gotta smile while you're hurting and whistle while you're working. Sooner of your darker side, regret, revenge will eat you up inside. Now, no, get up, work that dignity, let it bounce, let it fly, make them history. Oh, oh. If you put in work, whistle while you work it. If you put in work, whistle while you work it. If you put in work, whistle while you work it. If you put in work, whistle while you work it. My day one rule is keeping my cool, even if I'm broken iron. If you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta whistle while you work it. That's why you gotta never let them see you down, see you down. Oh, yeah. Gotta smile while you're hurting. Work it. Just whistle while you work it.
Mr. Come.
Thank you very much. I was telling my co-host just now that I feel like dancing too. So what I'm going to do, just for 1 minute, I want everybody just to stand. Just for 1 minute. So, Mr. Musician, we want to whistle while we're working. So we're going to rock our bodies to the song, just for 1 minute. So, musician, please, I'm asking. Please play with that song. We're going to whistle while we're working. We're going to jig our body for a little bit, all right? Wait, Nani.
Let's sing.
Bits of paper, lying on the ground, lying on the ground. It makes the place untidy,
yes.
It makes the place untidy. Pick them up, pick them up. Boring.
Mr.
my day one rule is keeping my cool, even if I'm broken. If you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta whistle while you work it. That's why you gotta never let them see you down, see you down. Oh, oh, yeah. Gotta smile while you're hurting. Whistle while you work it. Whistle while you work it. Gotta smile while you're hurting. Just whistle while you work it. If you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta whistle while you work it. That's why you gotta find broken eye. If you blow my high, you won't see me cry. Gotta whistle while you work it. That's why you gotta never let them see you down, see you down. Oh, oh, yeah.
Woo! Yeah, yeah, yeah! PDI 2023! PDI 2023! Yeah! Ah, yes, so nice! Mr. Leitner, ah, yes, sir? Nice! All right!
Nice!
Locks, noise.
Nice!
Woo! Woo! Let me calm down. You see me fat? I was about 5 pounds. Woo! We want to thank. Lord, thank you. Woo!
Whistle while you're working.
Thank you. You see why we just work perfect together? Thank you, Mr. Layton. All right, so we want to thank the halfway through primary for their performance. Slap them. National winners. They're what? National winner. And a crabby, some of them come too. Them going to themselves. Now we're going to hear from representative of the UNICEF Jamaica, Miss Olga Izaza. Please make her welcome.
Masters of Ceremonies, thank you so much for guiding us through this amazing journey. Chairman, Early Childhood Commission, Tirsa Williams-Singh and her team. Executive Director, Early Childhood Commission, Ms. Carolyn de Glass-Desland. Keynote speaker, Ms. Ella Humphrey. Chairman of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, Mr. Leo Gillin. Other members of my team, my marvelous team in UNICEF, team of ECC, parents, practitioners, and participants from across the world, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, girls and boys present here, good morning. I am pleased to join the celebration of the 20th anniversary of the Early Childhood Commission and the opening of this year's Professional Development Institute under the theme Transforming Education Through the Resilient Educator. UNICEF recognizes Jamaica as a regional leader in the early childhood development, noting the substantial progress that has been made in policy and practice, and importantly, the strong bipartisan support for the sector. There have been many significant achievements, including national standards and inspection systems, improved teacher training, monitoring and support, and the implementing a play-based child-centered national curriculum. Yet, the reality remains that Jamaica's ECD per student expenditure, 7% of GDP per capita, is comparatively low regionally and globally. This must change. The ECC is a long-standing and valuable partner for UNICEF. We recognize your use of the national strategic plans, which are target-based and linked to the budget. These plans focus on core areas like inclusion, parenting, health, early screening, identification and referral, safe learning center, early childhood institutions, and quality child-centered teaching and learning. A number of these activities are supported by UNICEF and will feature in the sessions to be held this week. The evidence-based and locally developed ERI Classroom Toolbox, which objective is to provide emotional support, is one. And the early screening, identification, and referral pathway is another. Both are directly linked to support for teaching and learning in classrooms across the island. We appreciate that continued joint effort can result in strategic and comprehensive approaches that prioritize increased resources allocation, capacity building, and inclusive infrastructure upgrades that will enhance the sector and increase its overall resilience. In addition, UNICEF is committed to continue our work with the ECC in providing technical assistance at the political level. We will leverage our strong track records, which feature decades of local programming in inclusion, parenting, teacher training, among others. We will continue to support the ECC's effort to facilitate equitable access to quality learning and developmental environments. We recognize the ECC on its accomplishment and join in the organization's continued focus on championing the rights of all young children to be safe at home, at the school, and in their communities. We wish you a productive week of learning and sharing. Last, but obviously not least, thank you for the important work you do every day in the nation's classroom, igniting the sparks of curiosity and learning that opens of a world possibilities for all children. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Isaza. Now, I want to say something to you practitioners. As I listened to Ms. Isaza speak, she mentioned some important data in terms of how much is spent and GDP and, and we compare them across regions. And it reminds me of the importance of data. And the data that is needed, well, when we're coming to sponsorship, anybody you're asking for anything, they need data. So when Miss D and Mrs. Singh have to put things together and to go to somebody to say, we need some funds from you, they need data, and they need empirical data. And so I beg you, when your head office or your regional teams, because no one has the data up there now, excepting you. You are the ones on the ground. You know everything. You face the students and the situations daily. So when we ask you for the information, and know sometimes it's rough, please, just send it. Because the idea is not to give you more work, but is to get the information so that those at the next level can use that information to write the necessary reports and the necessary project requests and support and sponsorship documents to other agencies who want to see that empirical data so that they can come on board. So when you want a bigger school and you want more equipment, Miss D and Miss Williams can't just go to somebody and say, we want a bigger school. They have to show and share why. They have to say that this school started with 6 students. Now we are at 12. We are at 50 in a small room, XYZ, that kind of a thing. So data is so important. And as I listened to her report, I was like, if we always just try to ensure that the data is captured and shared, then those above us will have all the information they need to ensure that they put the necessary documentation so that we can get the support we need at our level. Oh, that sound? Because the children said it right. Clean up time. And everything needs clean up. Sometimes we do some stuff, and as we go through, we want to clean up that part too. Because we need some money. So we need some more things to happen so that you can have a better space, you more resources to do the things you need to do. So I'm taking from the children, cleaning up, and literally they were using their brooms, and I'm using my figurative broom as I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, yes, I need to clean up that, I need to clean up that to make things happen. And so I want us to take every bit of learning we can today. So thank you so much, Miss Isaza, for your greeting. Ladies and gentlemen, you will notice that our Minister of Education and Youth is not with us presently. She wanted to be here, however, she is unavoidably absent. Nonetheless, her absence doesn't mean that she's not present in spirit. And so we do have, she really wanted to be here, and so she didn't just not attend, she ensured that her greeting came. And so we are going to be viewing and receiving Minister Favour, or the Honourable Favour Williams, or Minister of Education and Youth, with her greeting online. Thank you.
Congratulations to the Early Childhood Commission on its remarkable 20th anniversary. This milestone is a testament to your unwavering commitment to fostering excellence in early childhood education. I also extend my heartfelt commendations to the ECC as well for hosting its annual Professional Development Institute conference. Your commitment to excellence in early childhood education is commendable. The Ministry of Education and Youth recognizes the invaluable contributions you have made in advancing professional development for educators under the leadership of Mrs. Carleen Deslandes, Executive Director. By equipping your practitioners with knowledge and skills, you are ensuring optimal learning experiences for our youngest learners. Your dedication to enhancing early childhood education is instrumental in shaping a brighter future for our children. This conference is being held under the theme, Transforming Education through the Resilient Educator, and it serves as an important platform to explore innovative strategies and best practices in nurturing resilient educators who play a pivotal role in shaping the future of our children. In these challenging times, resilience has emerged as a crucial attribute for educators. Your dedication to adapting and thriving amidst uncertainty is truly commendable. It is through your resilience that we ensure our children receive the highest quality education even in the face of adversity. The Early Childhood Commission has been at the forefront of revolutionizing early childhood education in our nation. Your unwavering commitment to professional development, training, and advocacy has elevated the standards of care and education for our youngest learners. The impact of your efforts is immeasurable as it lays a solid foundation for their future success. I would like to express my gratitude to the conference organizers for curating an enriching program that will inspire and empower educators to continue their transformative journey. By fostering resilience in our educators, we equip them with the necessary tools to navigate the complexities of the modern educational landscape. As Minister of Education and Youth, I stand alongside the Early Childhood Commission in championing the rights of every child to receive a quality education. Together, let us forge ahead in our mission to provide an inclusive and empowering learning environment for our young minds. Once again, congratulations to the Early Childhood Commission on this momentous occasion. I am confident that the Professional Development Institute Conference will serve as a catalyst for transformative change and inspire educators to reach new heights of resilience and excellence. Keep up the outstanding work. Wishing you all a successful and rewarding conference.
We just heard from the Honorable Favour Williams. She's wishing us a what? A success. No, sorry. She's wishing us a successful what? All right, me not talk to her again. All right, so I know that she really, really wanted to be here, but guess what? One of the days, I know she's going to be here. She would have sent it herself. So you know what you need to do? You need to be here every day, right throughout the week. All right? Right, everyone? Yes, every day. All right, thank you very much. Now, we are going to invite, again, the national performers from the Halfway Tree Primary School to make their presentation entitled Schoolers Reggae. Make them welcome.
Want to tell them it's a shabba thing, suckling sing, yard and foreign kick up, rock wine, sing, ting-a-ling-a-ling, dance silent swing, DJ Dave stuck up in the beer bum rhythm, ting-a-ling-a-ling, gold bell a ring, knife and fork a fine for dumpling, booyaka booyaka, time for shabba ranking, shabba rocks disappear with another man change, so them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put the down to the key and turn them in a donkey, yes, them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put the down to the key and turn them in a donkey, who they think they are, yes, they can't allow me, I am the general in the DJ army, with not only I am cross all the T, and set all the gal them tickle fancy, and anywhere we go, gal gone crazy, listen, ting-a-ling-a-ling, school bell a ring, knife and fork a fight for dumpling, Shabba ranking disappear with you another man chin, so them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put it down to the key and turn them in a donkey, them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put it down to the key and turn them in a donkey.
It's lunchtime? No, 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 no. Let's put our hands together for the Halfway Tree Primary School. As you watched that presentation, did you see ways in which you could use that to teach any lesson? Anybody see that you can teach syllabication from that dance? The song were in there. Put the down to the key, turn them in. Anybody realize what you call the movement, isolation and movement, when you're teaching body parts and movement? And you see when the girl goes, sir? Don't you teach body parts and movements and everything? I want you to understand that our cultural forms are there for us to use. I have 3 lessons I stand up over this and I work out and I hear me. Lord, I should early childhood exciting. I want to get the excitement. Oh, I have the tertiary. It's not as exciting. You have all of this that you can use. And I'm writing down 3 lessons as I'm there. And I'm like, this is what excitement is. So thank you so much, Halfway Tree. Let's put our hands together for the teacher. Because the children, she facilitates and she's a classroom teacher, may I tell you? So all of this is extracurricular for her, and it's extra. And so she does it with her heart. And we want to thank them for that. Thank you so much. Let's clap her again. All right, so it's time for our keynote address. But you know, we have not heard from our executive director all morning. And so at this time, we invite Mrs. Carleen DeGrasse Deslandes, the chief head cook, buckle washer. I mean, this morning when we came here, she's in her sneakers and her T-shirt, doing everything like everybody else. And it's these kinds of leaders we need, the leaders who are not afraid to get down and get dirty as well. It inspires hope, and it makes you feel good to know that your boss, your supervisor can be there with you working through, and then she just slip out, and then you say she come out in her nice thing and her up and thing and what have you. But let's put our hands together for Mrs. Deslandes at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I must first mention, I heard that you're going to block me. But you don't know, say me no Digicel. Me got connections. Okay? And you gave some persons in the audience some ideas. Because I know Latoya is now thinking of blocking my number. Mrs. Foster, don't block me. Don't block me. I know your husband. So I know enough people. Anyways, Masters of Ceremonies, Mr. Leighton Jones, Mrs. Stacey Ann Campbell Cargill, sorry, I was practicing this morning, and it never worked. Or chairman, they call her Energizer Bunny. I'm still trying to decipher, though, whether it's Energizer Bunny with the Energizer battery, Bunny on crack, Bunny on something, but she's on something. She's on something. And the thing about it is it's a good something, because see, a lot of energy, so we need to get some of that something. Or other commissioners of the Early Childhood Commission. Or keynote speaker, Miss Ella Humphrey, chairman of the Jamaica Diaspora Task Force Action Network, Mr. Leo Gilling, who is switching on us for next year. Leo, you let it slip. But guess what? As Leighton said, we switch too. So next year we have other things coming up too. So we'll see what's going on next year. Members of JD TAN and Diaspora. Project manager, culture, health, arts, sports, education, early childhood education, sorry, my apologies. Early childhood education, Mrs. Latoya Akar Foster, representative of UNICEF Jamaica, Olga Isasa, and other members of UNICEF, especially, and I have to mention, our champion, continuous early childhood champion, Dr. Tortello. Call me, you talk about me, call you? And the thing about it is, she calls, she WhatsApp you WhatsApp her back, and within seconds, I think like her brain and the phone and the whole WhatsApp thing working together. As you WhatsApp her, she call you back. Other partners, my team, ECC, my team, where's my team? My team, 108, I tell people I'm 185 strong. You can't do me nothing in no parish. ECC team members, both, I'm proudly say, past and present. Yeah. Both past and present. Parents, practitioners, participants from across the world, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls whom I met earlier this morning. I met 3 friends, one in grade 2, one in grade 3, and I think one in grade 4. And I don't know how they're managing the friendship, being at different ages, but they're managing a wonderful friendship. It gives me immense pleasure. When I say immense pleasure, my heart is full to introduce this year's keynote speaker. Ella Humphrey is an education specialist in the Global Knowledge and Innovation Unit of the World Bank's Education Global Practice. She's a member of the World Bank's Early Childhood Development Team and works on several global initiatives that support the expansion of the bank's ECD portfolio. Ms. Humphreys specifically leads a program of work to expand investment. You see what she's doing? Expanding investment in ECD in fragile settings, and co-leads on an activity to improve the quality of parenting interventions supported under the bank's operations. She also provides technical advice to the bank's team and governments on implementing early childhood development programs. She has spent almost half her career living and working in low and middle income countries in South Asia, Africa, and East Asia. She's now with us. Prior to the World Bank, she worked for the Australian federal government. She holds an MA from Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies in International Policy and International Economics, and a BS in Psychology with a focus on child development from Curtin University. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Mrs. Deslandes. And it's such a great privilege to be here today. Thank you, Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, educators, boys and girls. As I said, it's a great privilege to be here today and delivering the keynote presentation. The energy in the room is fantastic. I can feel it even from Washington, D.C. Over the years, I worked with many different countries and governments on early childhood education. And I frequently use the work of the ECC as an example to share and for other governments to learn from. The structure of the ECC is unique globally, and the approach to ensuring quality in terms of national standards and inspection with a large number of public providers is something that we actually try to encourage in other countries. So I'm really grateful to be asked to present to you today, and I hope that my presentation will contribute to the learnings and the discussions in the days ahead. I know you have a very rich program ahead of you. You'll be doing a deep dive on play, inclusion, violence prevention and leadership, parenting, and other topics. So when thinking about on what to present today, I wanted to make sure that I spoke about something that is both relevant to this event and also leverages World Bank expertise. So in discussion with Mrs. Degrassi and Ms. Morgan, we agreed that it would make sense to present some of the big picture on early childhood education in Jamaica and the world. To ensure a resilient educator, you need a resilient system to support that educator. And that's exactly what I want to touch on today. With that in mind, today I will speak about 3 topics. First, I will briefly discuss the value of investing in early childhood education. And I know I don't need to convince the audience on that today, but I'll begin with it anyway. And then I'll share some trends on the global level. Next, I will present some results of a recent public expenditure review of the Jamaican education sector undertaken by the World Bank together with UNICEF, and the recommendations around early childhood education in Jamaica. Finally, in keeping with the theme, transforming education through a resilient educator, I will present some global evidence on the most important area of investment in the educator, in the teacher. So why is learning in the early years important? So, children are born to learn. The early learning opportunities they are given build the foundations for future learning. Knowledge builds on prior knowledge. Early learning equips young children with the critical skills for successful and productive lives in all contemporary countries and cultures. And the evidence base on this is just growing, is growing further. We know that this is one of the most powerful investments a country, a society, a government can make in order to ensure that it ensures greater returns. Children are the most capable learners on the planet. They learn rapidly and spontaneously by building on the 5 core areas of knowledge, which is learning about places, sort of referring to spatial abilities and children's learning around their immediate environment, learning about numbers, learning about objects, which guides children's developing understanding of the physical world, learning about people's actions and goals, and language, which is all about pre-literacy, communication, relationship development, and developing social emotional skills. Because of this increasing evidence around the returns to investment in preschool, enrollment in preschool and early childhood education is increasing in every region around the world. The amount of funding for early childhood development and early childhood education within the World Bank portfolio, as a result, is increasing or growing. So the way the World Bank works is we fund government programs and priorities. We respond to the demands of countries and what their needs are. And as the demand for preschool grows globally, so does our investments. Our early childhood education investments in the year 2019 to 2020 got to $1 billion US dollars and is now 11% of the overall education budget. However, it's not enough just to invest in access. Increasing access to early childhood education must be balanced with efforts to ensure an improved quality. For investments countries need to balance investments in access and quality in multiple ways, depending on multiple factors, including where they are starting from in terms of coverage and quality, as well as the aspirations for quality early childhood education, political will to invest in the sector, and the investments that are already on the ground. So in this slide, we've tried to capture the pathways that countries undergo when they expand access with quality. This is highly stylized, but it is based on the experience of actual countries. I'm not going to go through all the pathways, but I'll just start with a couple to sort of illustrate the concept. So if you look at the diagonal pathway, number 1, this is an example where a country began with low coverage and increased coverage and quality at the same time. A really good example of this is Ethiopia. They had around 5% coverage in 2010, which they expanded to 80% in 2021. And they did this together while improving the curriculum, developing a really good monitoring system, improving the teacher professional opportunities and teacher training for the teachers. So they were able to maintain quality while increasing the coverage. Another example is the 4th pathway, which is right on the right of the graphic, and it's the arrow pointing straight up. This is an example of a country that began with very high coverage but low quality. So a good example of this is Kenya. They had around 76% enrollment in 2016, and since then have invested heavily in the quality. So they maintain the coverage while increasing the quality. So countries should not expand ECE beyond the point at which a minimum level of quality can be guaranteed. The risk of doing so is that additional resources allocated to ECE will fail to produce the hoped for improvements in foundational skills children require to succeed in school. So an example of this on the graphic is probably 5. The red dotted line starting from the upper left going to the right. This is an example of a country that perhaps has very sort of low coverage initially, but high quality. And then due to a number of pressures, and we see this often, have to expand coverage very quickly at a faster rate than they are able to maintain quality. Another example is 6, which is at the bottom there, the red dotted line. And this is where there's low coverage and limited quality to begin with, and then they expand this sort of low coverage, limited quality model. So now that we've discussed or talked about some of the global trends in early childhood education, I thought I would zoom in on Jamaica. So Jamaica has some really impressive completion rates and attendance rates. About 90% of the school-age population completes secondary education, which is really excellent. And the net attendance rate in pre-primary is 86%. And when you compare that to the average in the Caribbean, which is 72%, the gap is really large. These are really high attendance rates. And this average in the Caribbean, I think, includes Jamaica. And I'm sure if we took Jamaica out of that average, the gap would be even greater. This attendance rate is as high or higher than a lot of European countries and North America. But what do we know about quality? So we know that a child who starts school at age 4 can expect to complete around 11.4 years of schooling on average by her 18th birthday. But this is equivalent to only 7.1 learning adjusted years of schooling. So what do we mean by this? So for a very long time, the average number of years of schooling in a population was the standard metric used to measure education. But this only really told us about quality. I think, there's always a situation where you may have a child, they're going to school every day, but perhaps they're not learning, perhaps they have an issue with teacher absenteeism. There's a number of reasons why they might be going to school every day, but they're not actually learning every day. And as recent research shows, students in different countries who have completed the same number of years of school often have vastly different learning outcomes. So essentially what this is saying that even though a child in Jamaica can expect to complete 11.4 years of schooling, this is only equivalent to around 7 years of schooling, of actual learning, which is, a very sort of sobering statistic. Around 90% of preschools meet the minimum requirements to operate within early childhood education as established by the ministry. But only a small fraction of these preschools are fully certified to meet all the standards for quality. And as we know, and has been brought up again and again already this morning, quality early childhood is the key for building foundations needed for later learning and development. So what is impacting the quality of early childhood education and the education sector more broadly in Jamaica? The answer to this is complicated. There are numerous multifaceted factors that impact quality, but a recent review of public expenditures in the education sector gives us some insight into at least one: financing. The objective of the public expenditure review analyzes the adequacy, efficiency, and equity of public spending on education in Jamaica. Today, I'm going to touch on some key highlights that are relevant to early childhood education. So the first number actually was already mentioned by my colleague from UNICEF, and that's the per student expenditure as a share of GDP. So at the moment in Jamaica, for pre-primary education, That's 7%. And when you compare this with tertiary education, which is 35%, or secondary education, which is 26%, this is quite low. And so one of the things that the Public Expenditure Review did was compare Jamaica to other Caribbean small states and benchmark countries, which include sort of countries that are considered the gold standard for investment in education. And we could look at Finland, for example, which has a sort of maybe one of the best in the world in terms of early childhood education. They invest 22% into 22% per student as a 22% into early childhood education. And Caribbean small states invest 13%. So I think the main takeaway from this is, as my colleague from UNICEF has already mentioned, investment is relatively low. And part of the reason for this is because of there's a large share of early childhood education providers in Jamaica, as you all well know, are private. So if you compare Jamaica with Finland, for example, 88% of their providers are public, whereas in Jamaica, this is at 20%. Although, as we'll discuss later, this doesn't mean that there's less need for public expenditure. So the good news, and something to be really proud of, is that investments in early childhood in Jamaica is pro-poor. So you are managing to reach the poorest children, and you're providing them with an early childhood education, access to early childhood education. If you look at this table, you can see this red box at the bottom here, and 87% of the poorest, as well as 87% of the richest in Jamaica, children both have equal access to pre-primary education. And in fact, it's pro-poor because the second poorest quintile, 89% of children have access, whereas the second richest quintile, only 85% have access. So this is something to be really proud of. And, the global evidence has shown us that the children who benefit most from quality early childhood education are those from the poorest quintile. They're the ones that make the most gains in terms of development. And the reason you are pro-poor is because this is due to the relatively large proportion of students in the lowest socioeconomic quintile that are enrolled in public institutions. So this is excellent, and it's something to be really proud of. So in terms of efficiency, one of the sort of elements that was used in the Public Expenditure Review to sort of evaluate efficiency was the student-teacher ratio. So the requirement or the standard for Jamaica is 1 teacher for every 20 students. And if you look at this graph here, you can see that this blue line is just above 20. So it's good. The average STR is right where it should be based on Jamaican standards. But what's interesting about this graph is the sort of the significant variation in amongst schools. So you can see with these dots, some schools have only 9 students per teacher, whereas other schools have up to almost 40 students per teacher. And this is especially true for the bigger schools, so the ones that have more than 200 students. So you have almost 33 children per teacher, and others have far less, which suggests that some schools are probably pretty overwhelmed in terms of the number of students the teachers the educators are taking care of and supporting. A more equitable distribution of teachers across schools within the same education level could lead to improved learning outcomes without a substantial increase in public spending. And this final statistic basically shows us that most pre-primary education teachers do not have advanced education certificates. So we have here at least 14% are untrained secondary school graduates compared with primary and secondary education. Now the evidence for primary and secondary education showed that university graduate teachers are positively correlated with learning outcomes. We know globally that you don't necessarily need to be a university graduate to be a terrific pre-primary education teacher. You just need the right support, the right training, the right professional development opportunities. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So the key recommendation that came out of this public expenditure review, and it was really very clear, it was there needs to be a reallocation of public resources to early child education. ECE is currently underfinanced and experiences significant pressure through high demand. You know, these access numbers are really impressive, but they also suggest a really high demand. I personally have not worked in a country with such high access numbers, and there needs to be the financing available to support these centres and the ECC in ensuring quality. You know, and I mentioned at the very beginning that only a small number of ECC centres have met the full standards of certification, and that's because meeting these standards are costly. And in order to support early childhood education in areas such as the provision of qualified teaching staff and adequate infrastructure, additional resources are required. And the ECC needs additional resources because certifying schools, monitoring schools, providing support, that also requires resources and staffing. So we've touched on trends and challenges in the Jamaican early childhood education sector. And so now I'd like to present one solution. In this section, I'll present some evidence on the importance of the ECE workforce and a framework on how to invest in building this workforce. These slides come from content from a volume that the World Bank recently published called Quality Early Learning, Nurturing Children's Potential. This is basically what happened was we invited some of the world's best academics and practitioners in early childhood education to come together and edit chapters on elements of quality for early childhood education, reviewing the latest and best evidence we have. This volume is available free online. Just Google Quality Early Learning in the World Bank and it will definitely pop up. And I really encourage you to take a look if you're interested. So I can't state this any strong. I can't state this too strongly. Investment in educators is probably the most decisive investment for raising the quality of classroom interactions. The quality and the capacity of EC educators is a very important predictor of educationally rich classrooms and overall ECE qualities. ECE educators have a critical role to play in creating positive physical and psychological environments for learning. But to be effective, ECE educators need a unique set of professional and pedagogical knowledge and skills to deliver quality education experiences. Forging this workforce is challenging, and all too often there's a shortage of staff, training, and professionalization. Globally, we find that ECE educators are often poorly paid and don't receive enough training. There's few opportunities for professional development. I know that the ECC really understands and values the importance of providing pedagogical learning opportunities and support to their teachers. This PDI conference is really evidence that. I think it's a terrific initiative and it's really wonderful to be part of it. Increasing professionalization can boost the quality of ECE educators. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to go about doing that. So while every country is different, there are 4 principles for building a strong ECE workforce. First, which can generally apply across countries. First, it's important to make ECE teaching attractive. You need to attract the people with the skills and the motivation and the desire to work with young children. Second, you need to improve the pre-service training and prepare teachers to be the best version of themselves and really really be in the position to deliver high quality education. Once they're in the classroom, they need support. They need professional development opportunities. They need mentoring. They need feedback, and they need this from and they need school leadership. And once they're in their job, they need to have job satisfaction. You know, a happy teacher who is more motivated and more likely to stay in their job. Strategies to strengthen ECE workforce within each principle. I'm going to go through each principle one at a time and provide a little bit more detail. But in terms of attracting, it's really important to attract and recruit committed candidates from the first place with the right disposition and the willingness to learn and innovate. They need to be rewarded. Career progression and job satisfaction combined with better pay, recognition, and reward are the hallmarks of an effective ECE recruitment and retention strategy. They need to be prepared. They need to have the training and in-service training opportunities to support them in the classroom. And these training opportunities must be underpinned by professional standards and competency guidelines to inform the professional accreditation and training. And it should be relevant and practical. So, it's important that they have the opportunities to actually practice things, educators have the opportunities to practice things that they've learned to enhance skills and professional development. I'm sorry, my presentation keeps jumping around. I apologize for that. So once they're in the classroom, they need support. You know, you don't know what you don't know until you're doing it. A short pre-service training is often not enough, and they need support. Like sometimes you learn something, and then when you're actually in the classroom doing it, you realize there's a gap in what you thought. So a child responds differently from what you expected. So there needs to be some way to ask somebody or get feedback on what you're doing. And supervision efforts should focus on developing, should be on supporting as opposed to surveillance, effective coaching, mentoring, and supervision. It should be the priority. And, there's also an opportunity to create low-cost communities of learning. In one country where I worked, that was very poorly resourced in terms of early childhood education, the country delivered a pre-service training, and then what they did was they formed a WhatsApp group with the teachers, the educators, the trainers, the local government education officer. And so after the training, the teachers were able to share good practice, ask each other questions, inspire each other, compete with each other a little bit, and also ask the trainer and the officer questions on things that they didn't understand. And it cost almost nothing, and it was really helpful. And finally, principle 4 is to retain. Promoting job satisfaction and better working condition is fundamental to retaining staff. So as an example of a country that has enacted these 4 principles, I'm going to quickly touch on China. Something in terms of attracting, something I think that China did that was extremely interesting, and they have exponentially increased the size of their early childhood education program extremely fast, and they've done it at a very high quality. So I think there's a lot to learn from this as China as an example. In terms of attracting, something interesting that they did was that they created the free teacher education program, which provided monetary incentives to undergraduate studies. And in exchange, the students that received these sort of monetary incentives, they were required to work in their hometown for 6 years and spend at least 1 year in rural areas. My country, Australia, does something similar. In terms of preparing, they encourage tertiary institutions to establish 5-year associate degrees to increase the number of places for pre-service teacher programs. In terms of support, the Ministry of Education requires principals to invest 5% of their annual expenditure in supporting teacher professional development to ensure that each teacher spends at least 360 hours on professional activities. And in terms of retain, principals are required to meet national standards on working conditions and regulations on class size, teacher-child ratio, classroom facilities, and teaching materials. The Ministry of Education has also increased remuneration and subsidy for EC educators in remote rural areas. So in terms of putting policies into practice, the first step and the most important step is to figure out exactly what is going right in your context and what is going wrong. We'll conduct a situational analysis, find out where the strengths and the challenges are. This includes just reviewing documents and gathering existing information on the training system, but it also requires interviewing government officials, policymakers, and especially teachers and educators. Phase 2, implementation. Based on the diagnostic, you've got to ask what actions should be prioritized to attract, prepare, support, and retain teachers in the 1 to 3 years. How many ECE educators are needed, and what are the funding implications of this? And finally, monitoring. When you begin implementation, something for sure won't work as how it won't work the way it intended. So it's really important to collect data so you understand quickly when elements of the new system that you put in place are not functioning or not functioning as well as they should. And so you can course correct. So there's some additional resources, which I think is not as useful from here, but perhaps we can share it later. And thank you. I think I could go on about this topic for much longer, but I think it would be better to stop and see if anyone has questions. I'm actually also joined online by my colleague Victoria Levin, who is the World Bank Senior Education Specialist and leads a number of education operations in Jamaica, and she's available here also to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Humphrey. Is she gone? I hope she's not. Just in the event there are any questions that we'd like to pose for Ms. Humphrey. Wasn't this some rich information that we got today? I mean, really, really good food for thought. I saw pictures being taken and we're making notes, and we talked earlier about the data and the, putting this stuff together. This kind of information is extremely important. Is she still with us? Are we able to bring her back on screen if she is? Just in the event that there is any question in the audience that we'd like to just throw at her so we can just get her to respond. There's a question over here. Let me just let the technical team tell me if it is that we are able to just bring her back on screen. Oh, she is. Ms. Humphrey, are you able to hear us?
I am.
All righty. So I do not have a cordless microphone, but guess what I do have? I do have this mic and it can move. And I use early childhood today, we know if it turn away and make fashion. All right. We can go on with this, man. We're good. Where is that? So we have a question here, and we'd just like to share with you. Go right ahead now.
Good morning. I was just looking at your efficiency slide where you were talking about the student-teacher ratio. And you spoke about the fact that there are some schools that have like 9 and others that have up to 33. So for me, this maybe assumes that each student is the equivalent of 1, and we know that their needs are very different. So in terms of inclusiveness and diversity and ability, have you looked at the research for how well we provide for children with additional needs, or as some people term, special needs in the early childhood sector? And what would the global position be in comparison to Jamaica?
Sure. No, I think this is a really important question, and you highlight something that doesn't come through clearly in the data. That indeed, in some of those contexts where there's more teachers and less students, there might be situations where children have special needs. For us, this is an increasing priority on the global level, something that I have to be very honest, we haven't focused on and done as good work as we could have in the past. But I'm working closely with my colleague whose priority is inclusive education, and we're looking at ways to do better in this space. We work with governments. I don't know if my colleague Victoria wants to at all from the education perspective, from the portfolio perspective.
Could you repeat that last statement, Ms. Humphrey? We didn't hear you clearly.
Sure. So for Victoria, who's it's also online. She's the education lead at the Jamaica portfolio, and she might have perspective to share on this. But I'm not sure if she can hear me because I can see she's online, but there she is.
She's online. Is she able to respond? Is she able to chime in?
Thank you very much for
she is.
the opportunity to respond. My colleague did a great job responding to the question already. I wanted to add that the public expenditure report has some indicators on the expenditure for students with special needs or learning disabilities. So I would encourage you to take a look at that report. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there is a report on special needs and the early childhood educational system, and so we're being directed to that report, and I think we can find that on the World Bank website. So those of us who are interested in getting that information, we could really go on and we could just really browse through that and get further information. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Are there any other questions? One over on this side. Was there a question? Someone on that side? Put your hand up if you have a question so we can see you. All right, so we've basically covered it then. I guess they're writing them down so they can ask the questions in those very intimate sessions that they'll be having over the next few days, because we have some presenters from across the world. Thank you so much, Ms. Humphrey. Let's put our hands together for Ms. Humphrey, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to go back to the stage, but we're not going to take the podium with us this time, and you'll understand why in a little bit. Right through the rocky road. Early childhood institution. So I have the wrong script. See with me.
Problem.
Some wonderful information shared. Don't we agree? So it sounds like, say, ECC, PDI this year, really going to be an extremely interesting one.
Started already.
Start already, because me I write down like it. Me never sign up for tomorrow, you know, but me know, Miss D, we can have a talk and see if I can ask my boss if I can come tomorrow a couple of days. I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge the presence of our presenters. There are a number of our presenters who are here, and that's me like with the face-to-face. I mean, they were here online and we could see them, but no, we can't touch them. Mm-hmm. And so we have our presenters from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Are they here? Come on, let's put our hands together for them. Yeah! We have our presenters from Canada.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Cayman Islands. Lovely.
Wonderful. Are there any other countries represented that we didn't get? No. No. Other than the Jamaican presenters. Any other countries? Any other visiting? I'm wrong. Me never qualified. Any other visiting country? Nigeria is here. Where are they?
Wow.
And we say global.
That's right. That's right.
I wonder if you don't understand what global mean. When you look in the dictionary, type in your Google now and look for global and look for the ECC side. You were saying?
Somebody's waving over there. Okay.
From Kenya? Oh, I'm just checking because China might be online.
That's right.
You know, Singapore might be online. I'm sure Finland is online somewhere. What about our Jamaican presenters? Are they here? And it's always interesting when we're having these kinds of fora to ensure that we have different perspectives. Different perspectives important because you come with your view, another view, we come together, we put it in a nice little one pot and we just mix it up and we stir it up and we just throw it out in a fantastic meal. Right? And so it's always interesting and important that we have that. Our chairman, the chairman of our boards, are they here? Could I invite you to stand if you are here already?
All right, here we go.
1, 2,
3, 4.
I can confess something. When I saw the gentleman this morning in the ear, I said to my friend, it's nice to see so many more men coming into the Early Child Commission. But now I know why, because they are the chairman. I think of them that teach in our classroom. I was getting excited because I think we need, I don't know, my thought is I think we need some male power in to help the ladies in the classroom, to help the children in their learning from early. So when I see the man, them are coming this morning, excitement kill me good, you know. I say my teeth kin like a dead dog when I did see them come in this morning. And now I understand why. So we have some of our chairmen are here. And guess what now? And they must start PDI rolling, you know. Because you're only here for this session. For them work start this afternoon. Right. So their session is at 2 o'clock. And so they're going into a good planning session. Hey, when they leave here, you know, I'm more work, you know. But we not run from the work. We not run from the work because we know what it requires. Now, ladies and gentlemen, registration.
Mm-hmm.
You registered?
Long time.
What you say?
Long time.
Is anybody here who you have not yet registered? And your thief come in and you not register yet? Because we want to account for your right. So you need to register. If you're here and you have not yet registered, we invite you to do so. And or you know the ECC website?
I may not know, for argument's sake, but our audience, can I get the ECC website, please? Go ahead. All right, let us start over. Ready now? Go.
You're starting with the W? WWR. Let's go on with the WW.
All right, let me help you. Ready? www.gov. Yes, man, we're catching now. There you go. Ready now. www.ecc.gov.jl. Awesome. Wonderful.
You don't have to ask if she's a teacher, you know. You don't have to ask if she's a teacher. Fantastic. So visit the ECC. Those of you who are online, please ensure that you go onto the ECC's website page. Ensure that you click all the things that need to be clicked. Don't leave anything unturned. And then guess what's going to happen? In the morning, we're going to ask you all to go on for those of you who have not registered, because guess what? It's hybrid. So some people are going to be on property and some are going to be online.
There you go.
And so if you have registered already to be on site, let me see your hands if you are here. You're already registered to be here. You know, stay home and your internet has breeze blow away. As breeze blow, your internet blow away so you can do it from home. But you have chosen just to be here face to face because you enjoy outer road. Because you say road. So you will be, because we say outside. Outside. All right. So if you are going to join us online, please ensure tomorrow morning by 8:30, 9 o'clock to ensure you go on. You will see all the sessions and choose the ones that you are going to be joining. Evaluation. Talk to us about the evaluation.
I was waiting for you to bring me in. Now remember, I want you to take, get your pen, your paper. I want you to take Keynote right here, all right? So if you're going to come face to face on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or the Thursday or even online, although you may come for one day, I'm just going to say this, for one day, you still have to complete the evaluation at the end of PDI. It is very, very critical because without that, you can't get a certificate. All right? So even though you're just going to come one day, which we know we're not going to come one day, right, everybody?
No,
come, let me hear you, right, everybody? You're going to come all the days, right? Yes. But key point to note. Yes, sir.
That lady in the green with the black jacket never said right.
So lady in the green with the black jacket, right? All right, so she gets it there, right? So please remember, you have to complete the evaluation on the last day. You must complete it, or else you won't get the certificate. Go ahead. Yes, it is online. Thank you for that question. It is online. Go ahead. Who you know?
Permission. So talk to your chairman. Make sure you talk to your chairman, your principal, and then that will trickle right over to our executive director.
That's right.
And you're gone clear. You're there right outside after that. Right outside you're there after that.
All right. So let me just say, I just want to thank some persons here. Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favour Williams. ECC Chairman, Energizer Bunny, right? Mrs. Trisha Williams Singh. ECC's Executive Director. You know, can't clap, man. Clap them, man. Them sound good, yeah, man. Mrs. Carleen DeGrasse Deslandes. UNICEF Jamaica Representative, Miss Olga Izaza. Clap. Keep the clapping going, right? Sponsors, the Jamaica Diaspora, Task Force, Action Network, and the Chase Fund. All right, let me tell you something now. When I saw these persons setting up, I'm like, me can't deal with the light, them. But guess what? The lights are here for a reason. I want to thank the Phase 3 production. Our participants. We're talking about you. Yeah, one excitement. If it's over here alone. All right, Mr. Layton.
I mean, I wanted to think I paid them pay she for shout, you know. She really excited for them. I really wanted to understand she's excited to be here.
The beer things, don't
beer
it?
Things.
So who want you the nice in the room? A PDI 2023.
We don't make noise.
We shout and we want to be there things.
We project.
Oh, we're going to project our voices today. All right. So if you're happy to be here, parties, or you were happy to be here and continue wanting to be here, let me hear the noise.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Do it over. Do it over.
Let me hear the projection of the voices.
Yeah.
That sound like easy participants. Yeah.
Because when you communicate, what we do with noise, you try to eliminate the noise. So we don't do noise. We project.
Where's that bop?
We project. We're projecting. We're projecting.
ECC team members who want to hear the projection of the voices. Them come out strong here.
Then they're right here. They all have breakfast.
All for a 3 primary, one a day. All for a 3 primary, one a day. I see you over there. You're going to your good self. And I also want to say special welcome. I'm going to say welcome, yes. And thanks to our other guests. All right, so if you never get your name, never call, we're still saying thanks for being here. Clap again, no, man.
We are looking forward. We are looking forward to the presentations and always turn up. And last year, people were begging for more time. I don't know if Miss D and our team were able to get more time. But the presenters, we look forward to the presentations, and they're so varied. I don't know, some of them are concurrent, and sometimes you want to be in one and be in the next. And so when you see some of us in the actual physical one, sometimes we have one with phone because we're in the next one at the same time. Because you don't want to miss anything. True. You don't want to miss anything. And you know I'm all excited about the arts in the early childhood education. I'm about the arts. You have to see with me. I work at the Edna College of the Visual and Performing Arts, so I can't help it. So I'm extremely excited where that is concerned. So I look forward to that. And so we want to also thank our presenters who are here early and rearing to go. You see the excitement on their face? I just want to look and see them. You see how their teeth are kin like a dead dog? So they are in Jamaica, so we have to explain to them that parlance so they understand what that means. Because, you know, when dog dead, the skin come off, and what do we see? So, when we say your teeth kin like a dead dog, we mean that you're happy. Anybody excited to be at PDI 2023? But this time you're not going to project it, you're going to show me. You're going to show me how your teeth kin like a dead dog. If you are happy to be here, let me see. Colgate. Someone lost it. I'm going to ask you before you go, just check in your purses, in your pockets, in your briefcases, in your bags, if you have your bunch of keys. You have your bunch of, me no want to go, I can't go in my house. Because we'd have to go call a locksmith and that's $5,000 just for them broke off the lock. So if we want to make sure that you can go into your car when you go back outside. Because the ECC driver now carry you go home this evening. So beg you please, just look. If it is that you can't find your keys, we're going to ask you to just make your way to the ECC booth or registration area. Probably we could send it to the registration area and just identify your key there because someone lost their keys and we want you to be able to get it before you go. Ladies and gentlemen, the opening ceremony is done. And so, it is with pleasure that we declare ECC PDI 23 open!
Yeah!
And so we are at the end. Leighton Jones is my name. It's my pleasure. It was my pleasure sharing with you and sharing with Mrs. Cargill. She go and go, don't it? How will she work? Which part she work? Because Chase spell, no. Remember how Chase, what Chase mean now, you know? That the acronym they change, you know. Remember now. Patrick, when we got JCDC, remember now, early childhood. All right, when we leave here, ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of booths on the outside. We're going to invite you to go and visit them all. Office of the Children's Advocate, UNICEF, Book Merchants, Teaching Strategies, Jollyphonics, Book Zone, Jamaica Teaching Association, Jamaica Teaching Council, National Children's Registry,
Children Protection and Family Service Agency, Jamaica School Readiness Assessment. What is
Nutcracker Publishing Company.
That's right. Growing Minds, Cheetah, STEM Builders, and the Caribbean Dreams.
So please make sure you visit all of those spaces. But guess what? We will listen to you. So if you say something to me, we'll listen to you. And so while we were there and the presenter was going on, some teachers were saying, we'd like to see the children dance again. So if you agree with those who have spoken with us and say you want to see Alpha Tree Primary School close out the segment with their item, make some make some projection. Yes. Look how me get kids. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Alpha Tree Primary as they close out our segment, and then we invite everyone to make their way to the booths on the outside and participate as best you can. Do have a wonderful rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, let's keep clapping them. Let's keep clapping them. Let's keep clapping them. And while they're dancing, you might have to get up and try one of the moves, because when you're teaching in your classroom, you want to make sure that you have the moves right.
That's right.
And if your neck not oil up on, so you have to get the movement right, because we don't want an accident.
Want to tell them it's a Shabbat thing, suckling sing, yard up for him kick up, rock wine, sing, ting-a-ling-a-ling, sing, pan silent swing, sing, DJ Dave stuck up in the beer bum rhythm, sing, ting-a-ling-a-ling, sing, gold bell a ring, sing, knife and fork a pipe a dumpling, booyaka booyaka for Shabbat. Shabba ranking, Shabba ranks disappear with another man change. So them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put the down to the key and turn them in a donkey. Yes, them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put the down to the key and turn them in a donkey. Who they think they are? Yes, they can't allow me. I am the general in the DJ army. With that only I am cross all the T. And set all the gal them tickle fancy. And anywhere we go, y'all gone crazy. Listen, ding-a-ling-a-ling, school bell a ring, knife and fork a fight the dumpling. We come for Shabba ranking disappear with you another man chin. So them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put it down to the key and turn them in a donkey. Them are the done to the biz, we have the key, put it down to the key and turn them in a donkey.
Good morning, students. Gabriel, pull up your socks, man. Remember, it's black, white, or yellow socks. Taylor, fix your skirt, now, girl. I like to see you in the correct uniform.
So me say pull up your pants and put it on your waist and tuck in your shirt and don't bleach your face. Inna my days that me a meditate, so me study for the test, me no procrastinate. Early to school, me no have time for late. Sit down in a exam, am I the great? Me no get nothing less than 98. When school over, me never avoid the gate. School youth turn up pants too tight. This a no dancing dynamite. Make your mother proud, you no see how she fight. Don't be a done said, be a top flight. You no see me intelligent, you no see me bright. Eloquence in me speech is a fairy side. Ask any teacher in a me old school, let me tell you say me brain higher than a satellite. Pull up your pants and put it on your waist and tuck in your shirt and don't bleach your face. Inna my days that me a meditate, so me study for the test, me no procrastinate.
Back to class.
Every pressure on you up, you illiterate and foolish, you might on a cook. And you not gonna get no work, and you keep like a puss. Send me granny with a purse, I eat you off a joke. If I see them, I hold you red and big tonight, you puke, me look and say, every pressure on you up. If you not have no education, people treat you like a book. Turn you in a handy man, dog, food you off the cook. Them no want no candy man, no Barbie can no broke. So big up all the youths, I can't see Woolmans and Meadowbrook. Look and me sing and say, you now go to school, go on the bench and no chair. School lads just wave on no hands in the air. You know a rectangle depend from a square. Pronounce your words them loud and clear. Textbook now have no dog ears and them no care. Cause you know them expensive and care. And make sure your uniform clean when you are wear. School lads just sit up and cheer and say, every pressure on your back.
Lunchtime. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, please have a wonderful rest of the day. And chairman, please don't get too excited. Remember, your session begins at 2 o'clock. So you can only have some water because we need you with vibes and energy for your session. All right? Have a great rest of the day, everyone.